Hey, welcome to everybody watching on Facebook. Welcome to everybody watching on YouTube, and welcome the replay viewers. My name is Billy Leonard, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I am going to be sharing something with you, and it's usually going to be about Ling Leonard. It's usually going to be about faith, wellness, or something encouraging. So this week we're going to be talking about the 5 tips for social media success, and we're going to do one a day, Monday through Friday. And today's tip, first tip, is to be authentic. And I think what happens a lot of times, what's happened with me a lot of times, is we're thinking too much. First of all, we're thinking way too much, and we're trying to think what do people want to hear? What do people want to see? It's like a politician taking a poll, right? And a politician takes a poll, and whatever the poll says, the politician tries to be. And I don't think that's successful. Sometimes it's successful for politicians. Unfortunately, they get very good at that. I don't think it's something that would be fun. All right, and because you don't know who you are anymore. And number 2, I don't think that's what people are looking for. I'll tell you why I don't think people are looking for that, and that's because imagine yourself being like on a meter or a scale, sliding scale of 0 to 100. Okay, and every day you wake up and every day you go out of the house, you can either be 100% you, 0% you, 50% you, somewhere on the scale. And when you're 100% you, you are completely unique. Right? There's nobody else like you. Nobody has your fingerprint. Nobody else looks exactly like you do, unless you got a twin. But anyway, right? Nobody else is like you. So if you're 100% you, you're unique. That's what people are looking for. People can look at themselves in the mirror every day, right? People can find people like them. They want to find something unique. They want to find something different, something that inspires them, something that makes them feel, you know what, frankly, people want to find someone that makes them feel like they can be themselves. Bam, right there, right? If you go out in the world and you be 100% you, then other people feel they have permission to be 100% them. And that's why they love it when they find somebody being 100% you, right? Okay, so couple of things I want to talk about. One, I want to go to Daniel, the book of Daniel in the Bible. We'll be using the Bible a lot because that's 100% me. And so Daniel, I've got 2 stories from Daniel. One is, you guys know who Daniel is? Do a thumbs up if you know who Daniel is. Okay. Daniel was an Israelite and got captured by Nebuchadnezzar from Babylon, and he was chosen as one of the few people to take to Babylon from Israel. It was almost like the Trojan horse type thing, right? Because Nebuchadnezzar was taking him in just thinking he could get something good for himself, and Daniel ended up taking over. And it was a cool thing was Daniel didn't take over by like fighting stuff, right? He just took over by being himself, which is what we're talking about today. Be authentic, right? Tip number 1, be authentic. So the first point is that Daniel and his friends from Israel were getting trained by the Babylonians, right? And so anyway, they were told, you got to eat this different stuff, and we're going to make you strong, and we're going to do all this stuff. And it says in chapter 1, verse 8, but Daniel was determined not to defile himself by eating the food and wine given by the king, yada, yada, yada. All that matters is the but Daniel. Something hit Daniel where he said, that's not me. That's not what I eat. And here's the thing, think about it. If you were captured and you were taken into this foreign country, but they weren't like putting you in prison. They were trying to make you like a leader or, I don't know, right? They were trying to beef you up and make you strong. They took you to the like training camp and all this kind of stuff, right? It sounds like the Hunger Games. But anyway, right, if they were doing that, most of us would be like, all right, I'm going to find out what these people like, and I'm going to become that because A, I don't want to get killed, and B, wouldn't it be cool if I could actually become maybe somebody important here and get comfortable? So I'm going to find out what these people like, and then I'm going to do it, right? Daniel didn't do that. He said, I'm not going to eat what you eat. I like to eat what I eat, and it worked out for him. So the first story is that worked out for him, and they tested him for 10 days, and he was actually stronger eating what he ate. And, everybody said, wow, that's good. Here's the second one. Now, everybody's heard about Daniel in the lion's den, right? Daniel gets thrown in the lion's den. He does not get eaten, etc. Now, do you know how that happened? So everybody around him was jealous. Do you know why they were jealous? It goes back to our original point. You have a sliding scale in your life. Every day you wake up, every day you go out into the world, you can be 0% you, 100% you, 50% you, authentic, right? They were jealous. The other leaders, right? Not the king, but the leaders under the king. They were jealous of Daniel because every day they saw Daniel being 100% authentic, 100% himself. So sometimes you can inspire people by doing that. And sometimes people can get jealous, right? They got jealous. They got so jealous they wanted to kill him. All right. That's not nice. But anyway, so they devise a plan, and they know, here's how they know how authentic Daniel is, because they know if they can get a rule made where you're not allowed to worship anybody other than the king, that Daniel will still defy the rule, and he will worship who he wants to, he will worship his God, right? Isn't that awesome? Even the bad guys knew how authentic Daniel was. Even the bad guys knew Daniel would not go against his authenticity. They knew that every day Daniel would go out and be 100% himself. So they make this rule. The king doesn't know. King apparently is not very smart. I don't know. And the king agrees to the rule. And essentially it says, if you for 30 days worship anybody other than the king, we're going to throw you in the lion's den. Right? So they sign the law. And then it says, remember our first verse said, but when Daniel heard this, he was like, I'm not going to do it. That was for the eating thing. Same thing with the worshiping thing. It says in chapter 6, verse 10, but when Daniel learned that the law had been signed, he went home and knelt down as usual in his upstairs room with his windows open toward Jerusalem, and he prayed 3 times a day as he had always done. That does not make any sense. I don't care how authentic you are. If they just announce a rule, right? You can't walk outside of your house for the next hour. Oh, well, you know what? I take a walk every day at this time of day. So I'm walking outside of my house. I don't care what you say, right? That's essentially what Daniel did. It says, but when he learned of the law, he went home. It's almost like he ran home. I got to get home. And he knelt down. He opened the windows. He could have kept the windows closed, right? He opened the windows, okay, so everybody can see him, and he worshiped his God. You know what he was doing? He opened the windows because he was saying, I'm going to be 100% myself, 100% authentic, all right? So, by the way, he gets thrown in the lion's den. The king doesn't have a choice. The lions don't eat him, right? And then what happens at the end of that is, let's see. Yes. Then the king gave orders to arrest the bad guys. Okay. He had them thrown in the lion's den along with their wives and children. Okay. Sometimes the Bible's a little weird. And then the lions leaped on them and tore them apart. Oh, that's sad. But anyway, so the king ends up thinking Daniel's awesome. And the last verse in chapter 6 says, so Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius, and the reign of the next guy as well. So today we're talking this week about the five tips to being successful on social media. What does Daniel have to do with social media? Well, I want to propose to you the number one thing you can do is stop thinking so much, right? I wonder how I can build up the number of hearts I have on Periscope for my Periscope following. I wonder how I can get more people on my YouTube channel. I wonder how I can get more people to push like on my Facebook post. I wonder what they like. That's going to be really hard because a lot of people like, this thing, and a lot of people like that thing. A lot of people like that thing. Okay, so you can choose a group of people to impress, right? And then you can all just be saying the same thing, but you're not going to make an impact on the world. But if you just go out and you say, I'm going to be 100% me. Number one, you're going to give everybody else out there permission to be 100% them, and they will love you for it. Number two, you will bring something unique to the table that nobody else can bring. Nobody else can bring that fingerprint. Hold up your finger. Seriously. You might have heard this before. You might have seen this before. I'm serious. Look at your finger. Nobody else can bring that fingerprint to the table. Do you know how many things we touch every day? Give somebody a hug. Pat somebody on the back. Shake their hand. You know what you just did? You shared your fingerprint with them, and nobody else could have done that. Okay? So number one, you give permission to other people to be authentic. Number two, you bring your authenticity to the table, which they've never seen, they've never experienced before. All right? And number three, here's the last one. You're going to find the greatest joy, even if it's just social media. Okay, obviously this is true for life too. You're going to find the greatest joy, and it'll end up being success, as Daniel found too, in totally being yourself. And that's what happened. Once again, I got to say, chapter 6, verse 10, but when Daniel learned the law, he ran home and he knelt down and he opened the windows. And he said, and I don't even think he said that in the sense of, well, you, right? I'm going to go do what I do. No, I think he had this longing in him that said, no, that's not right. Do not ask everybody just to conform to being who they're not. And not in defiance almost, but almost in celebration of who he is, who he was, right? He went home and he prayed to his God. And that's what I'd encourage you to do. You're going to inspire the most people, right? You're going to find the most joy and the most success. And it's going to be so simple for you to stop thinking too much about it and just be who you are in whatever social media channel you have or wherever you go. All right. So number one tip, authenticity. I hope that was helpful today. Hope that encouraged you today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I will talk more tomorrow. Bye.